ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Slot for Red Duelist's newest feature, the card of the week. Every week we're going to take a card, just any card from the game. The only requirement was that it had to have been relevant for at least one format. So whether that format lasted a month, whether that format lasted a year, and whether it was just relevant throughout the game's history, we will be talking about a card that was relevant to the game in some way. Recently, I had a poll on my private Facebook page from my friends, voting on the first episode, and they had no idea that they were voting for it. They were to choose between Judgment Dragon and Dark Arm Dragon, and the results were very lopsided. I believe it was 3 for Judgment and 18 for Dark Armed, so y'all are just bullies. So the winner was Dark Arm Dragon, and thus Dark Arm Dragon will be the first card we're covering on this series. I think that's my cue. So we got our notes here, we're ready to go. Let's get right into the history of Dark Arm Dragon. So for the 3 of you that don't know what a Dark Arm Dragon is a level 7 Dark Dragon monster who has an effect. He cannot be normal summoned or set, and must be special summoned from your hand by having exactly 3 dark monsters in your graveyard. His effect reads, you can banish 1 dark monster from your graveyard, then target 1 card on the field and destroy that target. He has an attack stat of 2800 and a defense stat of 1000, which makes him a Mega Monarch, just so you know. I believe. I don't know. I don't research Mega Monarchs, I only research Dark Arm Dragon on this show. So Dark Arm Dragon has been in the game for just over 10 years, at least in the TCG. He was released in Phantom Darkness in January of 2008 as a secret rare, as we all know. Very, very pricey boy at that time. Very good card, coming out at 3, very powerful indeed. One of the last sets of the GX era leading into 5Ds. Dark Arm was a powerhouse. His next printing after that was in Gold Series 2, as a gold rare, obviously, in April 2009. In August 2010, he was released as a super rare in the collector's tins of that year. And then 1 year later, in August 2011, he was released in Turbo Pack 6 as an ultimate rare, his highest rarity ever printed. February 2012, he was released in the Structure Deck Dragons Collide as a common. And then he took a hiatus for 2 years, came back in Premium Gold in March 2014 as a gold rare. And then Dark Arm lay dormant for 3 years, not being released again until January 2017 in Structure Deck Pendulum Domination as a common. 2 months later in March, he was released as an ultra rare in Duelist Saga. And 1 year later, he has his most recent printing in Legendary Collection Kaiba as a secret rare. So Dark Armed has been a very powerful, very relevant card in this game's history. Going over his ban list history, he was first semi-limited in September 2008, which marked the start of the true Teledad format, with 2 Dark Arms, Malicious, E-Tellies, just slaughtering your board with so many dumb synchros, filling up the grave with exactly 3 Darks every time, summoning Dark Armed and just maintaining the game. Crush card, I believe, had just gotten its first reprint at this time as well in Gold Series, and was very pricey. If it wasn't, then it was still just a prize card. Sorry. Like I said, we only researched the card that's being talked about on this video. But it did get its reprint and was very pricey at some point. And then the very next list, in March 2009, Dark Armed was limited, where he has sat until this day. Which is pretty crazy to think about it. This card has been limited for 9 years. 9 years. Very strong, very powerful indeed. So now, when you think of Dark Armed, the deck types you usually think of. Number 1, Teledad. Very obviously. Teledad was very dominant from the September 2008 ban list onto the March 2009 ban list. It conquered just about every SJC out there, except for maybe like 2. Because, you know, Glad Beast's crazy. If you count its variants, it took up typically most every slot in a top 64. But then after Teledad format, Dark Arms started to just become sort of a tech card and lay dormant for some time until the advent of Chaos Dragons around the 2010s to 2012 era. Still limited to one. Chaos Dragon could just slam out so many dragon monsters and just overwhelm your opponent. And then after that format ended, Dark Armed has seen a very little play, typically only as a tech choice in just, you know, your friend's local deck. He hasn't really seen much relevance in the highly competitive scene, but I know of a few players who seem to think of him as the best tech choice in Element Saber going forward, seeing as how they can easily fill their grave with any number of cards and make them dark at will. So Teledad format was, marked by the semi-limiting of Dark Armed Dragon, and lasted until the March 2009 when he became limited. It was also marked by the release of Duelist Genesis. So going over some of the tops, the first place wins of the Teledad deck, the main Teledad deck. So when you think Teledad, the standard, not the zombie Teledad, not the pure Chaos Teledads, whatever, not the I spent $7,000 on this deck, you better let me win Teledad. I guess that's all of them. But at SJC Tulsa in September 2008, Teledad took first place, piloted by Adam Korn. Music in the background. At SJC Seattle in October 2008, Cesar Gonzalez piloted a pure Teledad deck to victory. At SJC Atlanta in November 2008, Jerry Wang piloted Teledad to a first place victory. SJC Detroit, it was Stephen Harris that took first place with Teledad in December of 2008. In January of 2009, Alejandro Reyes Suarez piloted Teledad to the first place at SJC San Francisco. And then pure Teledad's last real big top that I could find at least was SJC Houston in January 2009, piloted once again by Jerry Wang. Now going on to the Chaos Dragons, I couldn't find very many high-level tops. I only found one first place, and forgive me if I butcher this. YCS Toulouse in April 2012, Peter Gross piloted a Chaos Dragon deck to first place. And Element Saber, as a relevant deck for Dark Armed, his most relevant deck at the moment, has not seen any tops with him at all. But he is a very good tech choice, I would say. But I like Dark Simorgh better. So the history of Dark Armed is a very varied one. A lot of people debate him every ban list, whether he can come back to 2, whether he can go straight to 3, or whatever. I think Dark Armed should say exactly where he is. We're coming out of like 3 separate formats of degeneracy, with like Zodiac and Spiral, then all this just nightmare loops, and then just getting another power card that you can just slap on the board as well and just be like, haha, look at this. Why I don't understand why you would ever want to do that. I think he's perfectly fine where he is. Maybe after another year or 2, he could come back to 2, test the waters, be like when they brought back Snatch Shield during Nakaro's format, which was the worst decision they could have ever done. So the only last piece of information I have was the highest price point, which from all of my sources, the standard Secret Rare Dark Armed Dragon reached up to $300 at his peak relevance. Now the Secret Rares sit anywhere from first ed in your mint, I believe, is around 40 to 50. The ultis run about 80, and everything else is like $1.50 less, and $1.50 and lower. So Dark Arm, if you want your spicy Dark Arms, you can get the Legendary Collection Kaiba ones. They're still Secret Rare. They're like $1.50. They're cheap. If you want to build, like me and Mark have, Teledad format decks, you can get Secret Rare Dark Arms for really cheap. But if you want to be, flexing out here with the original first ed Secret Rare Dark Arms, are gonna run you probably $150 for a set. Ultis are gonna run you probably $250. roughly, maybe like 220 if you find someone worthy, willing to give you a deal. So ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of week 1, episode 1 of Slide for Red Duelists, Yu-Gi-Oh! Card of the Week. So be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You know, we're still out here, Team Broke Boys, trying to eventually get paid by that money. You know, ka-ching, ka-ching. Next week, I already talked about it earlier in the video, how I had the poll from my friends on Facebook. Next week will be Judgment Dragon, and be looking forward to that. Let me know in the comments if you like this type of series. Like, I see there's a lot of channels that do, like, hey, this is a cool card, card of the week meme, but they don't really go over the history. They just talk about it. They're just like, hey, Dark Arm's a pretty powerful card, guys, play it. I want to get more in depth with the history of the card, and this is the first episode, so I'm still working out kinks. As it goes on, I will get it down to a science of what info I want to include, how I want to include it. You know, just without further ado, guys, you know, like, subscribe, Slide for Red Duelists forever. I got my notes. I need to go research Judgment Dragon now for a week. So like, subscribe, Slide for Red Duelists forever. We'll be seeing you. Peace.